Funny, the other night we were having a conversation around a campfire about what our favourite camps were, and I was hard pushed to come up with them. I came up with a couple: Helena for its view, Wali for its company, but I didn't really have a favourite until today. This is Dogpool Campsite, and whoever named it had no sense of occasion whatsoever. It's stunningly beautiful. I'm here on a cold, wet, miserable day. It was raining as I came in and it poured down most of the night. But it's still beautiful. I cannot imagine what this place is like on a warm summer evening. Just meters from the campsite, we have this. And we're surrounded by beautifully tall, straight marri trees. The campsite itself, recently rebuilt after a bushfire, is the lovely rammed earth style. The fireplace is ideally suited, surrounded by seats, logs, and with the river just off in the background. The only downside from my point of view was we didn't have a campfire last night, and that's a pity because that's the last campfire going south. All the camps south of here do not have fire pits and are not officially allowed to have any fires. I was rather surprised when I got here. Even if we had been tempted to have a fire, there wasn't much in the way of firewood anyway. The little wooden shelter, the magical wooden shelter with never-ending firewood, very daft on firewood this morning. I was surprised to see a little solar array here coming in as I walked in, and I vaguely wondered if we had some sort of primitive electric light, but no, that was a little bit fanciful. It turns out it's a gauging station for the river, for the water corporation. They measure stream flow through that device, monitoring the state of our rivers, I presume. Well, after 2 long days of long walks, we reckon between us that yesterday's walk was about 28 k's. Day before that was 25 k's, I think. Today we've got a much shorter one, 19 today. But today is going to be wet, not weather-wise. There are an awful lot of flooded plains to go through today. Some we will try and make our way around, some may or may not have little bridges, but it is almost inevitable that today I will be wading through at least ankle-depth water. By the end of the day my feet should be soaking wet. It's not a pleasant thought, but it's part of the Bibbulmun track. I thought I'd had a brilliant idea. I brought a couple of plastic sleeves. Having sealed one end of each, I put them on over my socks but under my boots and gaiters, giving me a waterproof layer. That would do the trick. Sopping boots, but dry feet. Might work. Okay, it's time to go. Poppy and Bella are waiting patiently for me. Bella's wearing a rain jacket again for all the good it does, but it looks like it might be showery today. I'll have my rain jacket around my waist. Bella is not behaving herself. Poppy's been a good girl. I'll have my rain jacket around my waist. Not only is it handy, but it actually cushions the straps from Poppy, which tend to get a bit sore at the end of the day. This has got to be one of the most spectacular exits to a camp I've seen. It's gorgeous. It's the Shannon River. I don't know if we'll see it again today, probably, but if not, it was worth the view. Bella is noticeably lighter this morning. Not only has it got 1 day of my rations missing from it, having eaten them yesterday, it's got 1 day's rations of somebody else missing. I duly delivered the forgotten rations to their owner last night, who were very grateful, has to be said. And as a result, we all enjoyed breakfast this morning. Especially... Well, the rain jacket didn't last long. As usual, it's like walking in a sauna, and it makes it twice as hard as it needs to be. There are blue patches in the sky. There's no seriously grey ray clouds anywhere, so I've just a feeling we might get away with a good day's walking. It's nice and cool, and the terrain to the next shelter, which is Mount Chance, is fairly flat, or even downhill most of the way as we descend into the plains. I think I'm supposed to cross on the bridge, but the bridge just looks less safe than the stones do, and the stones aren't flooded, so we'll skip the bridge. That's the 5k mark for today's walk, and it's just over an hour since I started, so good timing so far. The weather is very, very changeable. 20 minutes ago it was as black as all hell, and I thought I was in for a downpour, but it just scooted overhead, and now we're back to sunshine again. If you're a resident of the UK, I can tell you I'd enjoy one of them right now. Yeah, I know it's spelt wrong, but it's close enough. And changeable it continues. It's just had a light shower on me. The sun's completely gone now, and it's completely overcast overhead. Another 20 minutes, the sun will be out hopefully. Okay, T-junction, that's the end of Marron Road. Now we turn on to Pingerup Road, which presumably leads us down to the Pingerup Plain where the flooding's due to be. It's just over 9k, so I'm at the halfway point right now. 2.5 hours in, so going well. Nope, 2 hours in, so going well. Thought 2.5 was a bit long. Time for today's little treat. Most people call them M&Ms. Today they're power pills. Might be a change of road, but quite frankly it's the same old scenery. Deserted, sandy tracks through the bush. Whew. 12k's in and 2.5 hours. Time to take a break. Put Bella down for a minute or two just to give my back a break. We are now turning off this sandy road at long last and back onto a very sodden looking trail. The guidebook tells me that this is where the damp parts are going to start, with what they refer to as seasonal inundation. I think that just means wet feet. So far I've been pretty lucky. I've come across 3 large puddles and managed to skirt around the sides of all 3 of them. I don't know how much longer that luck's going to carry on. We haven't had too much rainfall this year, Certainly not as much as last year, and very little in the last 2 weeks, so a lot of this would have drained away. Other footage I've seen of people going through this have been wading through here knee deep, so count myself lucky at the minute. Don't know how much longer that can continue. Yeah, got away with it again. Biggest fear about that, of course, is snakes. Although hopefully they'll hear me coming along before I get to them and scarper. Well, I'm approaching the campsite at Mount Chance. It's a bit of an annoying one of those ones with a horrible spirit trail. The bib track actually, as you can see, goes on down there. The camp is up here. It's another 400 meters up here. I'm assuming it's just the four of us at the campsite again tonight. James certainly won't be joining us. He'll be back at Dogpool for tonight, and unless there's any northern walkers joining us, it'll be the status quo. Short walk today. It's funny, only 19 k's, 29 yesterday, 24 the day before that. And regardless of how far you walk, you still feel knackered at the end of it. It's funny how you mentally adjust to what it is you're doing for the day. It's quite a sight on the view up to the camp. I have to tell you, it's the longest 400 metres I've done all day, and it is of course all uphill. Ah, here we go.
I reached Mount Chance shelter after one of the medical crew and northbound hiker Albert. We were later joined by the rest of the crew. The campsite is dominated by the granite outcrop after which it is named, and on fine days the view is extraordinary. Unfortunately, those who did make the climb reported that today was not a good day, so I didn't bother. The plastic socks? Total failure. Feet were soaked in sweat, unable to breathe under the extra layer. So, won't be doing that again.
Hi.
You're on camera, do you mind? Good morning, I'm off again. That was Mount Chance. Short walk yesterday, got there around about 1 o'clock. Reasonably easy. Was there when I got there, as was Albert, a northbound walker who gave me a lot of good information actually. It was interesting to meet him. 6 of us in the hut, because just as we were all about to go to bed, out of the darkness came another southbound walker, Jolene. But she arrived in the dark, had to set up her camping stuff in the shed, in the shelter in the dark, had a tea in the dark, and then promptly went to bed. 6 of us in the shelter. It was a noisy night, I'm afraid. Didn't sleep that good. Not only that, but I'm all but out of battery power, so the CPAP is on its last legs, and I've still got 2 nights to go. This morning, Albert has gone. He's heading north. Jolene has gone. She's heading south with a rate of knots, and she says she'll be at the next shelter. I doubt it. I think she'll go on. Next shelter is Woolbales. It's a 22k hike, and according to Albert and his mind of information, We are definitely going to get wet today. There is no avoiding the puddles today. They're too long, they're too wide, and there's no way around them. So I will inevitably get 2 Woolbales with soaking wet feet, soaking wet socks, and soaking wet boots. Weather is overcast, perfect at the minute. It's nice and cool. Blue sky, blue patches, doesn't look like rain, isn't forecast for rain. So here's to a good walk. So I'm back at the junction. This is the beginning of the spur trail up to the hut. Very important you walk the right way when you get here. It's too easy to get confused. I did hear the story of a walker walking south who joined the spur trail and walked 5 miles north before being turned around by a southbound walker because he was going in the wrong direction. We don't want to do that. We go that way. About an hour in, probably done 4.5 k's, going well. It's hard to tell the distance because, quite frankly, it's pretty featureless. Up till now the book has given us concise instructions regarding roads and bridges and streams and things, but there just aren't any, it's just endless bush. I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed about the wildflowers. Either I'm too early or they're coming out late, but there's nothing like the wildflowers here that there was coming down through the hills this time last year. I mean, there's some here, and there's some of them are starting to bloom, but there's certainly no carpets of colour like there was last year. Okay, I've been going just over 1.5 hours and I've done 7.8 k's. I know that because this is one of the only significant landmarks on today's journey, a T-junction. We go right. Having spoken to Albert last night, he tells me that the water starts on this road. So we start getting our boots wet from now on and have wet socks for the end of the journey. 2.5 hours in and I've reached the second definitive point of the day. 10.8 kilometers, Broke Inlet Road. I did hear a car on it just now, so it's being used, but it's deserted right now. Blue skies above, clouds are scattering across the sky. It's a perfect day for walking. Temperature is just about perfect. Very nearly at the halfway mark for today. Well, I was warned, now it's finally happened. There's one here that's just too long to skirt around the outside. I can't even see if I can. I might try it, we'll see how we go. Now, give up. It's wet feet time. It was always going to happen. And now it has. Don't know how bad it is yet. They feel cold. Don't know that they feel wet. There'll be more to come. Voices. Another walker coming the other way. Hello ladies, how
The
are
two
we?
hikers were Chris and
How are we
Wendy.
going?
I got their names later from the register at Woolbales campsite. Both were Perth-based nurses on a sectional hike due to finish in Northcliffe. We enjoyed a quick chat and exchange of information before parting to go on our separate ways.
Oh well, maybe I'm in front of her. Alright ladies, want to enjoy your walk?
Nice to meet you.
And you, take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Oh, there we go, nice chat with a couple of local ladies. I should have got their names. I always forget their names. Well, here we go again. There is no chance of avoiding this one. We are going to get wet again, or more. Yuck, now I can feel it seeping through. They're all teeming with little frogs, little tadpoles, scurrying out the way as I splash my way through. Well, they saved the best one till last. That was about 200, maybe 300 meters long, and the deepest yet. My boots are full of water. They are squelching like kids in Wellingtons. And the silly thing is, I reckon the camp is less than 500 meters away. Woolbales campsite. As usual, on top of a hill. Now I could be the first one here today. Depends what Julian's done. No, nobody here at the minute.
Woolbales campsite is named after some local hills said to look like bales of wool. Not the most scenic of shelters, nevertheless it is a welcome sight after a long, wet walk. Briefly alone at the hut, I was soon joined by the 3 girls from the medical crew, and later by southbound walker Simon, who powered into the camp having walked 40 kilometres from Dogpool that day. Everyone spent the afternoon using the sunny day to dry out boots, socks and trousers, with the surrounding area looking a bit like an industrial laundry. And, while I set up camp for the night, Bob made a new friend. Join me again next time when I reach the next town at Woolpole, where I get a dressing down, a telling off and a change of plan.